I like to think that every gamer has something they hold dear in their hearts. This is something that they can hold sacred above everything else. For me, it would be settings like Warhammer 40k, or a setting that includes dragons, or perhaps most relevant to this video, a steampunk setting. Thus, I can honestly say it stings me deeper than an unlubed cock when I see a game like Tower Wars, which squanders so much potential. The theming itself is actually good, it's solid, and its premise of a combined tower defense slash offense game is something I can appreciate. Yet when it does come to comparing it to games like Bloons Tower Defense 5, for instance, I find it just lacking in the gameplay department. Lacking more than my upload schedule even. But what am I mulling about? Let's get into the video already. I've been finding it a bit hard to keep interested in Tower Wars, which initially confused me as the game on the surface looks good. I mean, you look at the trailer's fantastic, it really brings you into the game like nothing else. Yet, past the initial bit of like wonder and exploration, I'm not really feeling too compelled to continue playing it. And I think I found the reason for that. Tower Wars doesn't hook me in. Now, when I say hook, I mean a hook could be anything, from an engaging story like in The Witcher, fantastic sound design like in Black. Yeah, I bet you forgot about that audio orgasm of a game, didn't you? Perhaps a hook could be a progression system like Stardew Valley. This is really something, anything at all, that can keep you interested in playing. In the case of Tower Wars, I thought the steampunk setting would be that hook. Maybe even the varied gameplay would be that hook. Yet, the gameplay is just lackluster, and weighs the game down more than Trump's aging genitals would weigh his marriage down. Ugh, that's a terrible thought. We should of course explain the gameplay, as that'll help you get an idea of this here. In case you haven't played a generic tower defense, it's all about an enemy following a certain path to go from their spawn to your base to eventually destroy or kill you. In this case though, these enemies want to go the shortest distance from their spawn to your base as possible, but you can change that by putting towers in the way, and these towers function essentially in two parts. One, to attack the enemy, of course, and to maze the enemy around so they have to take a convoluted route that maximizes your tower's effectiveness. The problem is though that it's all been done before, and better. An example I gave earlier, Bloons Tower Defense 5, which even though it doesn't have an amazing aspect to it, it has unusual towers in it, which range from things like boomerang towers that hit enemies in an arc, or Gatling guns you have to aim manually, or a chipper that sucks up enemies. Tower Wars, on the other hand, is as vanilla as Catholic sex. Their towers only vary in the ways you would expect, like cheap arrow turrets, which are your beginning initial turrets. You got cannon turrets, and towers that buff other towers. Nothing here interests me. Nothing here is interesting to strategize with. Nothing here makes me sit and wonder how I can best utilize this. Honestly, even right now I'm struggling to finish this video. That's how disinterested I am in this. Now, the main gimmick of Tower Wars, which is what is actually the most interesting aspect to it, is controlling what enemies get thrown at your opponent's maze, which you actually do need to do to acquire currency which will upgrade your own things, mainly your mines which require your currency. Unfortunately, it's as interesting as my cat's butthole, which is to say I try and avoid it no matter how much it is shoved in my face. No, not even this gimmick interests me. Again, due to how utterly boring the variety is. I mean, I think there's a good 4 units that are just progressions on how tough they are. There's no actual difference between them, they're just tougher and tougher units. Like, that's not interesting at all, that's boring as fuck. Oh yeah, there's also some upgrades in it, which, they also just upgrade the durability of the units. This game severely lacks anything enjoyable to it. It's such a simple, a mediocre tower defense game. I was playing better tower defense games back in the days of Warcraft 3, and those were just maps. Play something else for more deep and interesting gameplay, I have to say, as I see nothing of value you can't get elsewhere for cheaper or for better, especially considering your average tower defense game you can find online is free, unlike Tower War's $8. If we want to discuss some good quality aspects to this game, we have to talk about the theming, the production quality, and the design outside of the gameplay, as it is well and truly the dog's box, I have to say. It feels smooth as butter, the steampunk setting works fantastic, the audio is also very gratifying, like for instance, when enemies start knocking down your castle for example, you get your troops chattering along as they blaze their guns in their direction, which actually makes your castle feel more alive than if the enemy simply expired on reaching it, which is the case in most other tower defense games. The theme is also well represented, which is what pulled me into playing this game in the first place. I mean, look at everything. Everything moves and clanks and has this exaggerated steampunk look to it. The units and towers are also hyper exaggerated, with the wind towers are oversized turbine engines, the healing minions carry oversized healing potions. So overall, the style doesn't give way to the playability, in that you, regardless of how stylized it is, you have a good idea what's going on at a glance. So yeah, it looks fantastic, it sounds fantastic, and is polished to a fantastic finish, and it also has little to no bugs that I've experienced. Now, the spectacle and sheer awesomeness of the visuals can't be understated, as when you do build a massive fuck-off maze, it is truly a glorious sight to behold. You'll have your towers zapping, your guns blazing, bombs soaring. It genuinely is a good bit of fun having your giant maze of doom you design do its magic. So please don't get me wrong, there actually is redeeming qualities here. It's not all bad, I promise. But this is what makes the unlubed cock sting even harder, doesn't it? When the gameplay just doesn't hold water. It's functional, it's a very functional game, don't get me wrong, but personally, in my opinion, there's just better out there. I mean, if you want a simple tower defense that spices things up with some simple mazing and the tower offense mechanic, shit, go ahead, Tower Wars might be your thing. I'm probably into some far too simplistic things for my own good as well, like booty. Regardless of your disposition though, if you find steampunk as interesting as I do, a more unknown game you should try out is Rise of Legends, which, if you can get your hands on it, is fantastic. It's a game that puts three societies consisting of techno mages, Arabian wizards, and, my favourite, the steampunk Italians against each other. Honestly, this game is where my love for steampunk came from, with its jittery creations, large smokestacks, and awesome power. If better tower defense is more your style though, and you don't have access to Warcraft 3 for some reason, go give StarCraft 2's Arcade a try. It's free, it gives access to more content you can possibly poke a stick at, and it's absolutely fantastic. Regardless though, thanks for watching my lame, very bored video. Likes, comments and subscriptions are of course appreciated, and they do help me out a lot. Anyways, my name is Panda, and I hope to see you guys next time. As a side note to those still watching, I actually don't think Tower Wars is that bad of a game. So you could put those torches and pitchforks down and you're going to poke someone's eye out with that. Personally, I wish there was more variety and spice that makes things more interesting to me. Especially since the multiplayer is dead, so you don't get those quirky combinations that only human players can give. I'm just disappointed. That's all. I see potential here, and I'm like, please, just a little bit more effort, and you could have had an amazing game here, but you didn't put that extra effort in, and just, I'm disappointed. Again, I'm just disappointed.